Mayweather. I wanted to punch Floyd in his face so bad. If he gave me an opportunity tomorrow, I'd do it. Okay? How can I say no?
4 years, Floyd Mayweather built a flawless 50-0 record, a symbol of unmatched defense and ring intelligence. But behind that perfection lies the story of Keith "one-time" Thurman. Every fighter faces a moment when patience becomes anger. For Thurman, this was more than a fight. It was a bold claim that Mayweather had been avoiding him, the one real danger to his legacy. Even years after retiring, the Mayweather aura still lingers. Big names like Manny Pacquiao and Roy Jones Jr. have hinted they'd still step in the ring with him.
You want to fight? Come on. I mean, I ain't tripping. You ain't got to troll me. Come see me. That's who I am. I don't do talk well.
You think there's a possibility, Roy? Like, we might get this exhibition?
Ain't gonna be no exhibition. I want a real. Ain't no sense being an exhibition. What we gonna play for? We both fight for real. What we playing for? Wasn't no exhibition. We didn't make it real. Exhibition for people playing. We ain't playing.
It happened that way. It happened to me many times.
Did you want a rematch with Floyd?
I'm still active. It's up to him if he's going to fight.
You would even fight him today?
Even here.
Oh my goodness.
Even here.
A match with Floyd isn't just another bout. It's a global event. It's the famous Mayweather payday, a dream every boxer chases at least once. Generations of fighters have lined up for that chance. But getting picked was the real challenge.
And Mayweather's used to that, you know? It looked like Mayweather was trying to scuff up the Roy Jones Jr. They were beefing online for a little bit, right? Because Roy doesn't get Floyd no credit. He says he's not the greatest ever. He might be one of the richest ever, outside of Canelo Alvarez's new contract, $400 million. But, you know, Floyd might be one of the richest ever, and one of the best of maybe his generation. But, you know, not everybody is sold on TBE. Not everybody is sold on the best ever. And that's the way that Floyd has always perceived himself, with great respect.
That's where Keith Thurman's story begins. While others were chasing money, Thurman was after greatness. Today, he stands as one of the biggest what-ifs of Mayweather's career, a fighter many believe was deliberately avoided. In his prime, Thurman was undefeated, powerful, and fearless. He was the kind of opponent Floyd never faced, and according to him, that was no coincidence.
Mayweather. I wanted to punch Floyd in his face so bad. If he gave me an opportunity tomorrow, I'd do it. Okay? How can I say no? I always wanted to punch that man in the face. You know? That's actually why I never shook his hand. Never shook his hand, because my satisfaction isn't in meeting you. It's in, you know, having the fight. And after the fight, we can shake hands. After the fight, I can give Floyd all the respect. I never got the fight, never gave him any real respect. You know what I mean? I actually do respect Floyd, but face to face, I can never give him respect because he never put respect on me.
Did he ever ask you, hey Keith, why you talk to me? Why you don't? Did Floyd ever approach you and ask?
Nah, we just was in the lobby one time at the Intercontinental here, and he actually walked up to me, and you know, he was cordial. He was cool and everything, but then we was just getting to talking, and it just, you know, it is what it is. You know, he had like some.
In the early 2000s, the welterweight division belonged to Floyd Mayweather. He was the pay-per-view king, the final boss every fighter wanted to dethrone. But as Floyd cashed massive checks fighting big names, something was brewing in Florida, a rising storm named Keith Thurman.
You know, I've titled myself a knockout artist ever since I was 14 years old, and I was knocking out grown men with 16-ounce gloves and headgears, you know. So I tell people, ever since then, I've been dropping people like a bad habit, you know. I love being a power puncher. My first favorite fighter of all time was Mike Tyson. It was my goal to have more knockouts than Mike Tyson in my professional career, you know. It's just, you know, just little goals, yeah, as a kid growing up. So I started off holding it down with 8 consecutive first round KOs and TKOs here at the Alucard Pavilion out in Tampa, Florida. And it took me 8 knockouts before I chose to give myself a nickname. And it was because all of those knockouts occurred in the first round, and because of the devastating power, and because of the story that my father once told me, that I chose to take upon the name Keith One Time.
Known as One Time for his one-punch knockout power, Thurman was a dangerous mix of speed, strength, and skill. He wasn't just beating opponents, he was destroying them, moving up the ranks with hunger that demanded attention.
There may be some things y'all don't agree with that I say. I assure you, up until, and y'all know Keith got gas issues, but until that gas tank start to run on E, he's a good fight against anybody.
Come on,
You
man.
don't want to hear it.
No. If you think about Keith was the guy, man.
Yeah.
Keith just ain't fighting. That's it.
Yeah.
And I think just the rust and everything's catching up with Keith.
Yeah.
Hey, supposedly we might get Keith this year.
Before the end of the year.
You heard that's confirmed?
I mean, I talk to my boy every now and then.
Okay, shout out to Keith Thurman.
By 2014, still undefeated, Thurman had become more than a contender. He was a threat. He didn't see Mayweather as a hero, but as a target. Unlike others waiting for an invitation, Thurman decided he'd be the one to end the perfect record. What followed shook the boxing world. He didn't politely ask for the fight. He demanded it, speaking with the kind of confidence that bordered on disrespect.
That's right, baby. You know, Floyd is supposed to be TBE, and I want to fight the best. I want to fight the man. You know, it ain't like Floyd's gonna knock me out. When has Floyd knocked anybody out in the past several years? Huh? So if anybody should be scared, it should be him. If anything I'm gonna get a great learning experience in my career. And to be honest, I'm looking forward to destroying Mr. Floyd Money Mayweather. I have a motto. This is my personal motto. It's called burn money. Burn money. 2015, we getting ready to burn money.
While most fighters spoke about Mayweather with careful respect, Thurman called him out directly. He looked at the cameras and said, "Do you want to fight? Be honest. If you're going to ignore me, just say it."
You know, I'm a young, strong champion, Floyd. Come get it. I'm undefeated like you, baby. Come take my O, baby. Come take my O. I'm ready. I'm ready. We'll go back to camp right now. We'll go right back to camp, baby. You see my six-pack? I'm going to go run laps tomorrow. It is what it is, man. Outside of Floyd, there's a lot of great champions in the welterweight division, and they know who to call. His name is Al Heyman. Call Al Heyman, baby. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and I'm looking forward to other opportunities. I beat this fighter, I can beat any fighter.
He wasn't asking for a paycheck, he wanted a fight for dominance. Tensions exploded when Thurman said, "If anyone should be scared, it's him." Fans were stunned. Here was an undefeated knockout artist accusing boxing's biggest star of running scared. Thurman even mocked Mayweather's opponent choices, saying they were handpicked for safety. But the truth went deeper. The real twist came from the politics of boxing itself.
To get the fight, and then they politically took the position away from me by elevating him up to the super champion, which made it so that he was no longer obligated to any mandatories. And now I'm currently the WBA super champion of the world. So, you know, to me, the real purpose of holding the super champion, once when I studied the industry and understood politically what this belt and what that belt means, to me, the real purpose of having the super champ is to do things like this and have a unification bout. Because when a fighter has two belts, he's supposed to have two mandatories. Now that means that you don't really get to pick the fight that you want anymore, because now you're getting this mandatory thrown upon you from this federation, and you got this mandatory thrown on you from another federation, and then it's less for you to do what you want to do for your career. So by the WBA creating that super title, that allowed Floyd to really only focus on one mandatory, which was the WBC, if he wants to take it or not, and it gave him way more room to move his career the way that he wanted to move it. And because he was able to do that, one thing that he was not presented with, one thing that nobody had to get in his face and ask him about was, how do you feel about Keith One Time Thurman, who is your #1 mandatory challenger in the WBA? You know, as soon as he fought Maidana and got that title, I'm the mandatory. He schedules a rematch, so there's no point in talking about it. He wins again. Now, the question is, how do you feel about your mandatory?
Thurman revealed that after becoming the mandatory challenger for the WBA welterweight title, he expected his shot at Mayweather. But suddenly, things changed. The WBA upgraded Floyd to super champion, while Thurman was made regular champion.
And that's when Floyd Mayweather ends up fighting Marcos Maidana. To a very close fight. Maidana fought a tough fight. He fought a tough fight. I don't even know how it got to be like that because I saw him get outboxed easily by Devin Alexander at his first fight at 147. But somehow, some way, maybe Floyd just underestimated the wild bull of a man that Maidana was at the time. And so the fight was so entertaining. Floyd did a rematch. That time, he clearly outboxed Maidana. He didn't lay on the ropes. He didn't let so many big overhand rights come in. And it was a clear showing that Floyd got the second fight. That was only 2 of his rematches throughout his whole career, 50-0. 2 rematches. So now, where is Floyd? He is the reigning welterweight WBA champion of the world. Where was I? I was taking fights and I was maintaining position as the #1 contender. And there was a phone call. There's a phone call I never got. And it was to fight Floyd. Somehow, never got the phone call. He said, "Hey, Keith, how are you doing today?" I said, "I'm good, my man. What would you like to talk about?" He says, "Can you please tell me, how does it feel to be the WBA welterweight champion of the world? For you have been elevated." I said, "Elevated? What do you mean?" He said, "You're the champion of the world. I learned this on a phone call."
Casual fans, it looked like just another title, but Thurman knew it was a clever move.
Were you mandated to fight Floyd?
Man, they created the WBA super title. They gave it to Floyd so that he wouldn't have to fight me. Now Mendoza is saying whoever is the super champ has to fight the regular champ. That wasn't the case when Keith Thurman was the champ.
So they just did. So they simply didn't even mandate that fight.
Know your history, man. Floyd Mayweather politically ducked me. 100. It was the most BS political move in the world. I get a phone call, "Hey, Keith, instead of being the interim champ, you're elevated to the regular champ." So yes, I was his mandatory. Yes. You know what I'm saying? Did it ever get mandated? No. Why did it not get mandated? Because he had 2 fights with Maidana. Then they elevated him to super champ. They gave me the regular champion, and they didn't let the regular champ touch the super champ in that generation.
Hidden in WBA's rules was a key detail. A super champion doesn't have to face mandatory challengers. In that moment, Mayweather was protected.
So by the WBA creating that super title, that allowed Floyd to really only focus on one mandatory, which was the WBC, if he wants to take it or not, and it gave him way more room to move his career the way that he wanted to move it. And because he was able to do that, one thing that he was not presented with, one thing that nobody had to get in his face and ask him about was, how do you feel about Keith one-time Thurman, who is your #1 mandatory challenger in the WBA? You know, as soon as he fought Maidana and got that title, I'm the mandatory. He schedules a rematch, so there's no point in talking about it. He wins again. Now, the question is, how do you feel about your man?
Floyd now had a rule-based excuse to avoid the division's biggest threat. Thurman found out he was a world champion, not from a fight, but through a reporter's call. It confirmed what he feared most. He wasn't rewarded, he was sidelined. A trophy meant to silence him, not celebrate him.
I learned that I'm champion of the world thanks to a phone call. I said, what happened to the real champion of the world? No, Floyd's not champion of the world. He is the super champion. I said, does it come with a cape? What the hell is a super champ? But Thurman, you're the regular champion of the world. What's regular about being?
But who had the power to pull such strings? The answer was Al Heyman.
What is your relationship with Al Heyman, and how important is Al Heyman right now in boxing?
Me and Al Heyman work hand in hand. Great guy, you know what I mean? That's Leonard partner. But Al Heyman is a great guy, tremendous guy. One thing about it I can say, Al Heyman is the man of his word. Whatever he says he's gonna do, he's gonna do. No different from if I say,
Heyman was the mastermind behind boxing's elite, managing stars like Floyd and Thurman. He was known for protecting his fighters, ensuring they earned big money with minimal risk.
The most powerful man in boxing is also unseen, and you've probably never heard him speak.
Al Heyman.
Al Heyman.
Get Al Heyman. Al Heyman check.
So what makes Al Heyman so important and untouchable? Even the New York Times tried to answer these questions and failed. Here's what we know. He's Harvard educated, very successful in live concert promotion, television production, and boxing. He has a long list of celebrity clients. A brother Bobby who fought Sugar Ray Leonard. No office, no answering machine, no photos, no interviews. Where Heyman goes, the money goes. In boxing, when you're talking about Floyd, you're indirectly talking about Al Heyman, his business partner.
Managing both the sport's cash king and its rising star created conflict. Why would he risk Mayweather's billion-dollar status against a hungry fighter like Thurman? A loss for Floyd would ruin the perfect 50-0 story. A loss for Thurman would hurt future profits. From a business view, keeping them apart was the smartest play. It let Floyd retire unbeaten and Thurman continue growing safely. Thurman wasn't just fighting Mayweather's legacy, he was battling the business machine built to protect it.
So real quick, what's PBC fighters and Floyd Mayweather gonna do? Because PBC don't have the money to put on fights, which means they're not drawing income. What they gonna do? Keith Thurman, what you gonna do on that back end? That back end gone, man. Fred, why you in celebratory mode? Because I told them not to get gas at that gas station that they robbed people. I told them not to eat at that food place. It was terrible. I told them that I forewarned the people, man. I was Frederick Rivera. You know, they're coming. I was on my horse, man, and y'all said me and my horse was crazy, man. You know what I mean? But y'all go ahead and enjoy. I wonder what Floyd gonna do. Floyd, what you gonna do, man, with the Al Heyman money? Drake said Al Heyman checks good. Are they, Floyd? Peace.
Once Thurman went public, the controversy exploded. Fans split in two. Mayweather loyalists said Thurman was just bitter and hadn't earned the fight. But others saw clear evidence of avoidance. His explanation of the WBA's loophole made too much sense to ignore.
I had to look up what a super champ was. And in the fine print, right in the paragraph, you could read that super champions are not obligated to fight mandatories. Is it ducking? This is what we call politics.
Thurman wasn't just complaining, he was presenting proof. His story gave weight to the long-standing belief that Mayweather's final years were carefully managed to avoid real danger while securing easy paydays.
Mayweather just did such a smart thing, but also a devious thing. Waiting until Pacquiao was older, waiting until he slowed down, and then...
Devious is not illegal in boxing.
It's encouraged.
Devious can be an asset.
That's how you retire with a 50-0 record.
I give Floyd credit for brilliance.
It would have been an interesting fight had he fought Pacquiao when he was younger, in his prime. It would have been a very different
Would have been
fight.
a more interesting fight.
Much more different.
Because any go-forward physical warrior like Pacquiao is going to wear down.
Exactly.
And any brilliant counterpuncher like Floyd is going to retain more.
Also the fact that Pacquiao fought him with a bum shoulder.
Money talks.
Yeah, I mean, look, I guess he was faced with this thing, legacy, or, I mean, it was the biggest pay-per-view of all time in boxing. I think it was like 4 million buys or something crazy like that.
It was huge.
Yeah, give him a cortisone shot, throw him out there. Unfortunately.
Even after losing his shot at Floyd, Thurman moved on. He proved himself by unifying the welterweight division with a win over Danny Garcia. Then in 2019, he faced his biggest test, not against Floyd, but against Manny Pacquiao.
You know, I never got the Floyd Mayweather fight. So, you know, the Pacquiao fight just was the next level for me. And I just couldn't say no. I had some issues that year that I wasn't happy about with my body, but I was fighting through it with my left hand because after the Pacquiao fight, I needed surgery. I needed surgery after the Jose Cito Lopez fight. My doctor was at the fight in Brooklyn, New York. He lives in California, and he was at the fight. So he's backstage with me. He goes, "Hey, Keith," he's like, "You ready for the surgery?" And I said, "Hey, Doc, I think they're gonna give me something special because Adrian Broner just fought Manny Pacquiao."
Yeah.
And so we knew that Pacquiao was on the PBC side now. And that, so, you know, sometimes foretell things a little bit in boxing. Sometimes we can, sometimes we can't. And I just kind of knew what was going to be in the works. And they kind of told me, like, hardcore, like, yo, Keith, if you want it, it's yours. If you don't want it, we're going to give Pac to Danny. You know,
Oh, wow.
we're gonna go off for Danny Pacquiao.
Wow.
And I couldn't say no.
In a thrilling battle, Thurman showed skill and heart but took his first loss. The irony was clear. The man who accused Floyd of ducking him willingly fought another legend. That defeat, though painful, proved his courage. He risked everything for legacy, not comfort, standing opposite to the picture he painted of Mayweather.
Compared Pacquiao's career and Mayweather's career, which career do you think outshines one or the other?
Pacquiao, he lived the Muhammad Ali life, you know, where you win some, you lose some, and you win again. Floyd, he did a little bit more of a pretty boy aspect, a little bit more in controlled settings. Didn't always fight the toughest fight of the career at that time. When it comes to athleticism, you know, and I'm probably about 100% right when I say nobody will ever do what Pacquiao did ever again. He made a type of history that will most likely never be repeated, man. So when it comes to the both of them, it just is, do you admire all the world titles, or do you admire the simple aspect of just being one of the best to ever dance around the ring?
Years later, the idea of a prime Mayweather versus prime Thurman still fuels debate. Could Thurman's power and awkward rhythm have broken Floyd's defense? Could he have ended the 50-0 dream? We'll never know. Mayweather retired undefeated, while Thurman became known as the champion who fought everyone but the one he truly wanted. His words, though, revealed the truth behind boxing's politics, that sometimes the biggest battles are the ones never allowed to happen. In the end, you have to ask, who was really unbeaten? The man with no losses, or the one who was never given the chance to lose? That's all for today's video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Stay tuned for more.